Bring back rock.
Hey everybody, it's Dean. Welcome to Bring Back Rock. Today we're talking about a band out of California with a strange name. Great band with a strange name, Rhino Bucket. If you're not familiar with them, a lot of people say they sound a lot like AC/DC. Matter of fact, I went to a record store once, independent record store in town here, and he recommended a band. I said, "Oh yeah, who do they sound like?" He said, "A little bit like AC/DC." And I said, "Oh, like Rhino Bucket?" He's like, "Not that much like AC/DC." So I know the singer thinks it's a little lazy to compare them to AC/DC, but I think if you played this band for 100 like rock and metal fans and asked who they thought they sounded like, about 100 of them would say AC/DC. So George gets the comparison. There is quite a bit of AC/DC. He does have a very kind of Bon Scottish voice. But anyway, I'm going to tell you their history, which is really interesting. Some of the members that have come through are interesting. What some of them are doing since they've left the band, very interesting. Just a pretty intense history there. And then I'll play some samples for you after that, and you can decide who they sound like. Tell me in the comments. Who do you think they sound like? It's AC/DC. All right, so I'll also tell you the result of our poll. It was what your favorite band is. Choices were LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, or Eddie Murphy. I guess it was just who you prefer. Faster Pussycat, LA Guns, or Eddie Murphy. Our new poll is up right now too, so vote for that. It's most iconic keyboard part, Jump by Van Halen, Final Countdown by Europe, or Take on Me by Aha. Threw a pop song in there, or others, so you can kind of put who the other one was. So I'll give you the results of that one poll question, tell you how they got their name at the end of the video, but right now let's just get into the history of Rhino Bucket. Rhino Bucket's main man is George DeLevo. George is actually a citizen of Finland and split time growing up between Finland and the US of A. In Finland, his uncle was on he was a part of a variety act at a TV show that ran for a very long time, and he always had access, George, to different musical instruments and music. It sounds like his uncle had an extensive collection, and George fell in love with the Beatles and the Stones, kind of like every rocker did of that age. He eventually set up shop in LA and put a band together. His first gig was at the Troubadour. The LA scene was getting going with bands like Rat and Armored Saint, and a great scene for them, but George admits his band actually wasn't very good. So time moves on here to 1987 in Van Nuys, California, where Rhino Bucket forms in 1987. Hooked on Aussie pub rock, as it is known, bands like AC/DC, Rose Tattoo, The Angels, or Angel City as they're known in the US to avoid confusion with the US band Angel. Now, this was the band that Rhino Bucket ended up adopting, as did a lot of bands. I mean, The Poor, Airborne, Hardbone, Dirty Looks, many others. I think AC/DC and that Australian pub rock may be the most copied sound there is. The band didn't really fit in with a spandex and hairspray crowd, donning t-shirts, denim, and leather, dirty, stripped-down, high-energy rock and roll. They did get a gig at Coconut Teasers, a rock club in West Hollywood, not exactly on the Strip, and kind of became the unofficial house band. During this time, they were recording demos on a 6-track recorder, and they started circulating to the record companies, garnering demo deals from 8 or 9 major labels. Drummer Liam Jason said, "Hell no, we don't want to make demos, we want to make an album." That statement whittled down their suitors to 2. Warner Brothers and Geffen, 2 pretty good suitors. Meetings were taken with both. Geffen wanted to have some ballads written, etc., kind of a cookie-cutter formula. Warner Brothers asked the band, "What kind of album do you want to make?" Which was just being themselves. The rep said, "Okay," and that was the end of the meeting. The next day they got a call from Warner Brothers to come down and sign the deal. They didn't realize when the rep said okay that meant they had a record deal. A little anticlimactic. They released their self-titled LP in 1990 and released videos for One Night Stand and Blood on the Cross, getting some airplay on Headbangers Ball. In 1992, they released the follow-up album, Get Used to It, and released a video for Beat to Death Like a Dog. The album also included the song Ride With Yourself, which ended up being included on the Wayne's World soundtrack. That soundtrack went to #1 and went to double platinum. The Warner Brothers lineup was George DeLevo on guitar and vocals, Reeve Downs on bass. Now Reeve was with Rhino Bucket on all their albums and only parted ways recently with the band. Greg Fields on lead guitar, The aforementioned Liam Jason on drums, more on him in a moment. And so, with neither album really breaking through, their 2-album deal with Warner Brothers over, the band soldiered on, and the band secured a deal with Moonstone Records, a label created to release soundtracks to Full Moon Pictures films. If you're not familiar with Full Moon, in the 90s and 2000s, they were releasing a ton of great direct-to-video movies, action movies, horror movies. Not high budget, but lots of fun and pretty decent quality for what they were. Anyway, I have 3 releases on Moonstone. Bad Channels, which they had Blue Oyster Cult do the soundtrack to one of the records, and it also included a song or 2 by Fair Game Ron Keel's Project After Keel. So the Bad Channels soundtrack, I have the Quiet Riot Terrified release and this Rhino Bucket release. Now, before recording, Liam had left the band, and his wife told Simon Wright's wife that Rhino Bucket needed a drummer. Now, Simon, most famous for playing with Dio and AC/DC, but he's also worked with people like Jeff Tate and Tim Ripper Owens, UFO, John Norum, and more. So, enter Simon Wright as a new Rhino Bucket drummer. And soon after the release of the record, Greg Fields left. They released their album on Moonstone Record. It was called Pain. Fast forward quite a ways, and Ricky Rackman asked the band to play the Cat House. Not sure if he was doing a special Cat House night or trying to relaunch it, but George said, "Heck yeah, we'll do the Cat House gig," and literally had to get the band back together. Now, in 2001, the new guitarist was Brian Forsyth, famously of Kix. He was tapped as a new guitar player, and he also remained with the band until very recently, and we'll also get to that. Okay, drummer needed. Got to get Liam back in the band. George says of all the people he's ever played with, Liam is the greatest musician he's had the pleasure to play with. So they're going to bring him back. A meeting is set up. The thing is, Jason has now transitioned to Jackie and came to the meeting as Jackie. I heard 2 different versions of this. Basically, the initial reaction, one said was not very mature. What? Really? Your buddy shows up as a girl and it's not a mature reaction? The other one was she was doing an interview and said once she ended up reviving them from passing out, the meeting went well. So they got over everything, found out, hey, inside is the same person we knew for years, can still play, and Jackie was in the band. Liam Jason was now Jackie Enks. Just going to point this out. George had like a very human moment that he confessed after he left the meeting. He left the meeting saddened. He had a friend's mom who apparently had transitioned at some time and ended up living a very lonely and isolated life. And he feared that for Jason, now Jackie. So the band released And Then It Got Ugly on Acetate Records in 2006, giving us another great slab of rock and roll. The band parted ways with Jackie after a disaster show opening for Velvet Revolver. Not sure what made it a disaster, but during the set, George looked back, and Jackie, in George's words, was behind him on the drums with dolphin shorts, fake breasts busting out of a tank top and a pink cowboy hat, and it just didn't fit with Rhino Bucket's denim and leather and no frills image, so they parted ways. Everyone is friendly, they still talk, text, no hard feelings. Jackie gives them credit for giving this a go. Now, this was 20 years ago, so it was really unprecedented and kind of brave of them to do it. It was a fairly unprecedented situation, so she gives them credit for their open mind. George was disappointed certain opportunities were lost by having Jackie in the band. Not mad at her, but just that people would close the door because she was in the band. Either way, all is good with their personal relationship. In 2009, The Hardest Town was again released on Acetate Records, with drummer Simon Wright rejoining the band. In 2010, an album I originally missed, I'm not sure how, Who's Got Mine was released. I think that was their 6th album. Then in 2017, they were back on Acetate Records and released another great record, The Last Real Rock and Roll. Now with David Ducey on drums, he is still with the band. I was still with Reeve on bass and Brian Forsyth on guitar. In 2018, though, George announced the end of Rhino Bucket. I remember this release. He stated it was just financially unsustainable to keep it going. He just couldn't pay the members a decent wage and make money with Rhino Bucket anymore. It stayed that way for about 3 years until 2021 when a European tour was booked, and that led to a full reunion. Apparently, Rhino Bucket can book a tour in Europe anytime they want. They have a very strong fan base. George points out it's not a huge arena tour, but he can successfully tour Europe whenever it works for their schedule. They also do the Monster of Rock cruise and play other shows as well. With Brian in the band,
Brian Forsyth. They were offered a spot at the Kicks Fan Fest. However, George turned it down as they would be losing money on the gig. And this kind of set Brian off and led to a big rift between them. Brian pulling out of a gig at the Rainbow. So they parted ways. Reeves' time had also come to an end in the band. He had been living in the Australian Alps for quite a while, but he was flying in to do gigs, and they're touring Europe a lot. So, but their journey had just kind of come to an end. George has no bad words to say about him at all. It's just that their time together ended, which led to an exciting new lineup. George, obviously on guitar and vocals again. Longtime drummer Dave Ducey. I think since 2012, he's still on the drums. New bassist Joey E. They're a bit cryptic on his last name, but apparently he had played with Circus of Power at one point. And guitar legend, in my mind at least, he should have been much, much bigger. Harry Cody on guitar, former Shotgun Messiah guitarist and longtime friend of George. Now, Harry had just disappeared for a long time, and now he shows up in Rhino Bucket and has a new album with former Shotgun Messiah vocalist Zinny Zan coming out. Now, some people thought Harry Cody and the band would not be a good fit with Rhino Bucket. I say Boulder Dash. And George agrees, saying he's just an amazing musician that can sound great playing anything, including Rhino Bucket. Look for a new album with the current lineup. That's the plan, at least. There's also a plan to maybe release some older songs. They did this once already with an album called No Song Left Behind. George says Rhino Bucket, however, is winding down, not immediately, but it's just a fact that it won't continue for too many more years as he's getting older. So if you get a chance to catch him live, do it. And keep an eye out for that new album, maybe as early as 2027. All right, so what are they up to? George is still doing Rhino Bucket. Reeves, like I said, living in Austria. Jackie started in radio and TV with a sports show and then co-hosted a comedy pulp culture variety radio show. And she's still playing drums. Greg Fields, a.k.a. Greg Fidelman, won a Grammy as an engineer on Adele's first album. He's engineered or produced for bands like Slipknot, Slayer, Black Sabbath, and most notably has been Metallica's producer for about 15 years. He's done okay for himself. Okay, long, interesting history of Rhino Bucket. Now let's get to some music samples and I'll catch up with you at the end of the video.
I'm an exile, just a boy. I'm still an exile, on a monkey boy. Monkey boy, highway boy, highway, monkey boy, highway. Monkey boy, highway boy, highway, monkey boy, highway. I've been trying, baby, I've been slammed around and around. I've been fed, baby, been misled, been let down. Working out for so long, girl, you wouldn't believe. Sweat in my eyes, sting like a bitch, choking on your disease. I'm a shell-shocked mongrel, battle fatigue. First you blister, then you bleed. Beat it dead like a dog. 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 I've been chained, baby, I've been tamed.
All right, so that was a bit on Rhino Bucket. Where can you find them? A bunch of it's on the streaming services, not all, but a lot of it is on the streaming services. You're not going to pay any more than normal CD price for any of their CDs, except for Pain, and also the re-release of Pain, which is called Pain and Suffering. That's a little bit higher, but they're not insanely priced. Or check them out on the streaming services. All right, the poll results: LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, or Eddie Murphy. We had a tie for second, 27%. Or Eddie Murphy. I mean, he was on a roll with, another 48 Hours and the Beverly Hills Cop movies and his time on Saturday Night Live and his stand-up albums and his stand-up movies, Delirious, whatever. Great. 27%. 27% also for Faster Pussycat. And that leaves LA Guns as the winner of the poll with 45%. Go vote for the new poll, iconic keyboard parts. All right, I told you how I would tell you how they got their name Rhino Bucket, because it seems like just two very strange words put together, like giraffe table or whatever. They were drinking beer, big surprise, trying to come up with a band name, brainstorming, and one person said Rhino Chaser, which is a surfing term, and somebody else suggested bucket of lard, and they kind of combined Rhino Chaser and bucket of lard into Rhino Bucket. So that's how they got their name. All right. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for spending time, and I will catch you on the next episode.